I've always been an Aston Martin Vantage fan. Even when the cars have always been entertaining, but that doesn't mean they were always good. The competition is typically better. Now though, maybe that's less the case. God damn, this thing's good. All right, slow down, oomsa, come inside. This is the 2025 Aston Martin Vantage. And it is a sweet upgrade over the prior iteration of this car. It looks better, it drives better, it's just greatly improved. It's stiffer, it's still somehow more comfortable, it's much nicer inside, the front end is cleaned up a bit. So let's talk about the looks first. The face is sharper, the grille cut is better, the side vent looks nicer, the ducktail is great, the fat rear end, that thickness out back looks wonderful. And then with the carbon fiber pack on this, the diffuser out back looks awesome, the side sills look great, the mirrors, everything looks fantastic, which is what an Aston Martin should do. I wish the wheels weren't black because they get lost in the bodywork, but that'd be a fix you could do yourself on your own if you were speccing one of these or in the aftermarket. Nice Subaru. Inside, fantastic, super comfortable. The new screens look and work great, and I'm driving this after just driving the updated DBX, which has the same setup, though when that car, for some reason, sometimes it was laggy. I have not experienced it with this one. I don't know if there's been an update done to change things to make it better, because another thing I'm noticing is normally when you drive these cars, they give you a visual and audible warning when you go over the speed limit, and you have to turn it off every time you get into the car, and it is super fucking annoying. Here, it's just set to visual automatically. So hopefully this is an update that the system feels a little less laggy, because it looks nice. I think there's some Mercedes intelligence behind it, but I think it's pretty heavily Aston Martin, or it might just be Aston Martin's own system. It looks good, CarPlay pops up nice and smoothly now. It's working much better here in the Vantage than it did in the DBX. I love the rotary knob here in the center. It's the start-stop button. It's also the drive modes. And then if you hold down traction control for long enough, it actually enters a traction control setting where you go from 1, which is full on, up to 8, which is like there's a little bit left, and then 9 is like, you're on your own, buddy. I drove this car on a track in Spain, started at like 5, put it in the middle, pushed it to 7, and then said, fuck it, went full off, and this car was a true joy. With the traction off, super controllable, super fun, super playful. But at 5, it stepped out a little bit. At 7, it stepped out a little bit more. It was smooth intervention too. It was a really nice design traction control system. Speaking of all that too, there's an electronic diff out back. As long as you're not an F1 safety car driver, you should be good to go with that. Power-wise, 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 under the hood, making 656 horsepower, which is, I know we're in an era of very high horsepower machines. That's a lot of horsepower for this car, and it sounds fantastic, and it goes through a strong ZF gearbox and a drive shaft, or prop tube, whatever the hell they call it. It's a fantastic powertrain setup. Rear-wheel drive, 325s out back, all good to go there. The suspension damping and tuning is wonderful. I put it into individual mode, so I have the engine and the exhaust loud, the steering and the suspension in comfort, because I'm older, and there is a difference, which is nice. I like when there's a clear delineation between comfort, sport, race. This has that. Performance-wise, though, it is exceptional. Aston Martin quotes a 0 to 60 time of 3.4. All of the buff books are saying it's low 3s if it's not ducking into like 2.9. Because it has significantly more power compared to the last version of the Vantage, and it weighs just right about the same. So, and that was a 3.4 car. So this is quick. In fact, it makes like 128 more horsepower than the normal Vantage and like 80 something more than the prior Vantage F1 edition. It's just really, really nicely upgraded. And it costs just a colossal fuck ton of money. It competes against, you know, upper tier Porsches, upper tier Mercedes AMGs. And then on the flip side, if you want to get fancy, you could lump it in against like Bentley Coupe or something like that, though it is far more sporty than the Bentley Coupe. So it's, and the Bentley's more of a Grand Tourer, you know, you'd want to line it up against like a DB12. This lines up against 911s, AMG GT 63s, stuff like that. It is definitely more visually interesting. It definitely has a unique, like, wow, that's an Aston Martin. Here in California, yeah, it's another 911. Like, it has to be something really fancy. I know that sounds jaded as hell, but that's true. The most Porsches in the world are sold here in California. I see 911s every day. They're awesome. I love them. You know, when I drive them, I shit my pants with how good they are. It's always been this way with Vantages. They feel more special than the 911. And this one is finally as good as some of the upper echelons. No, it's not a GT3 competitor. No, it's not as fast as a Turbo S because that's a rocket ship. But like this should wax a GTS, I would have to imagine. I think this has significantly more horsepower though, so there's that. And it weighs less. You know, GTS is now a hybrid, all that good stuff. So this is just, it's always been beautiful. It's always sounded glorious, but dynamically, this is easily the best Vantage I've ever driven. And I'm not just doing that out here on the track. I'll cut to some of the footage that was shot by Aston Martin from the track time, because this isn't me just borrowing that to fill space in the video. I was actually there. I drove that track. I drove these cars. I was braking at 150 for the front straight, and the cars were just laughing and enjoying it all day long. It was awesome. And just cruising out here on my local roads, it's comfortable. I love it. It looks fantastic. I would not spec this color. I am happy this color exists though, because it stands out and it's not just black or silver or gray or white or something like that. If you're buying one of these, get it in a fancy color. Oh, price, back to the price. They start at $190,000. This one, because they learned, like I said in the DBX video, they've learned from watching what Porsche does. You can spec these to the moon. You always could do crazy stuff, but now it feels like every time I see one of these, you know, they used to be like, oh, you know, we get a few things on it, we'll put brakes on it, that's an extra $10,000, and maybe wheels, and call it good. This one has nearly $100,000 in options. You know, the paint, the lower carbon fiber pack, the upper carbon fiber pack, the interior carbon fiber pack, the cross stitching, the stuff on the headrest, the Bowers and Wilkins sound system, the brakes are part of it. You know, everything. They can do it because people will pay for it. It's just, woof, it's a lot of money, but that's kind of what the competition costs. So, you know, who am I to say where these things? It's a vehicle that I can't afford. So, you know, they get hard to comprehend sometimes. See, fun. I'm a big fan. I've always loved Vantages, Vantage-I. I've loved the old V12 Vantage. You know, go back, the 4.7 was great. There's been some great Vantages back in the day. This, I said it already, I'm saying it again. I want to wait though to time it so I get the green light so I can accompany it with engine note, because the engine note is so good. This is the best Aston Martin Vantage of all time. I think that's a C-Max next to me. I'm not going to look because I'm probably going to annoy them with engine noise, but oh, it's green. They're winning. They're beating me off the line. It sounds so good. There's some good pops and burbles on downshift that it doesn't overdo it. It's like the right amount too. It's a good fucking car!